charge of my own economic future. And then, of course, there's the issue of financial gain. And sometimes we expect financial gain much quicker than it actually happens. Sometimes it takes a long time to get to that point where you see the financial gain. Sometimes it's difficult to navigate financial gain in a context where your family and friends might have expectations of you. When you come across as successful, some people might see you as their savior. They might see you as, a beacon of hope. And that might put you as entrepreneur in difficult situations where you've got to have to make difficult choices. Because as much as you love the people in your life, you cannot succeed in business if you drain the business of its funding prematurely. So that's difficult to navigate. It is not easy. And, but then there's also this wonderful phenomenon of social entrepreneurship and social enterprises. And I was so lucky to be part of a delegation 2 weeks ago, supported, funded by the British Council. My colleague Olipa is there in the back. Funded by the British Council, a delegation of university staff and students, university staff, academics, and technology transfer professionals who were taken, they're part of a program focused on the commercialization of research in social sciences and humanities and the arts. And they were taken to, wait for it, 5 days, Oxford and Cambridge and London School of Economics. I mean, I've never been to these places, and it was just like a bucket list event for me to just be in those places and learn about entrepreneurship and business from the perspective of some first world, developed world universities, really top, universally speaking, universities. And in that process, I learned that they spoke often about charities. And they would say, this person runs a charity. This person is, no, it's not a business, it's a charity. And then I realized in South Africa, we don't talk about charities. We say, I'm a social entrepreneur. But they make a distinction between a social entrepreneur or a social enterprise and a charity. And if you are, if you're running a profitable business with a social impact, to run your business well, you need to make money. And you can make money and have a social impact and do for social good as well. But then also, there might be some times where we say there's not a profit motive, but then we have to call it what it is, and maybe we have to have a new point where we say we're good at charities. So I think and that's why I'm in employment, I think I'll be good at charity, not at business. I've tried my hand at business, but I think this is something that I would rather focus on. What is it that you would like to focus on? Where are you good at? What are you good at? Do you feel guilty about making money? If you're running a for-profit business and it doesn't have a clear social good output, do you feel a little bit guilty about it? People say, no, but you have to give back. No, there's nothing wrong with making money, right? It's what you do with your money in the end that is important. So if you run a for-profit business, go all out and do it unapologetically. If you run a social enterprise, make sure that you make profit to grow your social impact through your business. So be very clear about what it is that you are buying into. What's in your heart? What kind of business or enterprise is it that you want to drive? And of course, there's the issue of, as an entrepreneur, I get to have the ultimate thrill, and that is what our lovely colleague Jessica was saying earlier, or I think it was Jessica who said, I get to employ people. Wow, is it not something most of us want to do? I want to employ people. And that's great, but the timing is important. First, grow the business. make sure you grow the business before you bring on employees when your business isn't ready to carry those salaries. You know, so you've got to be realistic. Don't let your drive to do good kill your business in the end. Think carefully about that. And then, of course, I want to talk about entrepreneurship across all disciplines. Because in EDHE, EDHE stands for Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education. It's the program that we run at USAF, Universities South Africa. It's a program focused on supporting entrepreneurship development in the universities. We work with the universities, and the universities in turn should be working with you as students and should be supporting you. Right, question is whether they do it. So we have to make sure that they do that. Right, now when we talk about this work of entrepreneurship, I want you to think for a moment which disciplines, academic disciplines, are well suited to entrepreneurship. Which disciplines, if you are studying, what are the courses that if you are studying that course, you should not even think about entrepreneurship? Is there someone from the audience who should say, oh, that's a no-go, you can't be an entrepreneur if you study education? Or you can't be an entrepreneur if you study, there's a gentleman who shakes his head very strongly. Please, sir, may I put you on the spot?
No problem, because I believe that entrepreneurship gives us an opportunity not to be put in a bucket. Yes. Whereby we have to focus on one thing or whatever. So I can be in supply chain, but I can also come up with something in education. I can come up with something in insurance. I can come up with anything just because I'm an entrepreneur. So it gives you that freedom. So
absolutely. Yeah. I love the word, that freedom. As this gentleman says, you don't have to put it into one bucket. I mean, it's in essence what you are saying is also that it's kind of like a skill set. It's a skill set that you can apply in different circumstances, regardless of what you have studied. I met this morning this gentleman, your name? Mkhodi, so thank you, who studied engineering, but his startup is an education startup. Look at that. But he's learned things from his engineering discipline that he's now applying in growing this education type startup. And that is what I want you to know today, and that you must never underestimate how much you have invested in yourself already through your tertiary education. And by the way, let's not talk about privileged and underprivileged and not privileged and previously privileged and future privileged. You are privileged. By virtue of sitting here today and having a university education, you are privileged, because many others want this privilege, but they don't have this privilege. You might be suffering while you are privileged, but just getting the chance to study in a university like this, wow. And to be able to do a qualification, such as your qualification, your degree, or, it's probably, most of you are probably degree students. It's a massive privilege, and it gives you an incredibly huge, unfair advantage in life. You don't see what you know. You know so much. You've learned so much. You've developed so many skills. Even the survival skills you have developed while you were navigating that first year at university, hey? It was tough, right? That first year when you come here from home and you don't know anything that's going on, but you navigated it. And those skills that you've learned in that process, wow, that's a victory. It's a massive victory, but it's a massive investment in yourself as well. And that is what you can leverage in your entrepreneurial journey. Those skills, it need not even be associated with a discipline. It's just a beautiful tapestry, a big carpet of all kinds of different skills. And what you have acquired, and what you are probably acquiring now, as you engage with content and learning around entrepreneurship, is you are equipping yourself with a toolkit for entrepreneurship, but you're also working on your mind and your own thinking about your entrepreneurial propensity. and how you think about money, how you think about business, how you think about opportunity. Are you looking around you and seeing, wow, there's an opportunity. Someone should take that opportunity. There's money to be made. Are you seeing these things? Because that's that mindset change that we see in entrepreneurs. And then when we talk about entrepreneurship across disciplines, of course, it's so interesting that if you talk entrepreneurship to someone in management sciences or in business, we speak the same language. But when you talk entrepreneurship to someone in humanities, or in the arts, or in the social sciences, you will ask him, are you an entrepreneur? Or would you like to be an entrepreneur? No, I'm not. Or no, I don't want to be necessarily. But then you ask, so what are you studying? No, I'm a musician. Oh, and what do you do? You know, do you sometimes perform somewhere? Yes. Yes, I perform somewhere. I've got gigs every weekend. I've got frequent gigs here, there. Is that person an entrepreneur or not? You know? So look at the language we use that comes from our academic disciplines. And what I would like you to help us try and figure out is how do we standardize the language of entrepreneurship so that it's accessible and understood by people from all disciplines. You know, that's going to be a big job, eh? That's a PhD study that needs to be taken to the markets, yeah. So in your conversations with people from your discipline, perhaps think about these and think about what do business opportunities look like in your field of study. Maybe you don't have a startup if you're an artist. Maybe you don't have a startup. Maybe you just have gigs. But are you entrepreneurial? Is it a side hustle? What is it? And while you are studying and you are paying for your studies in one way or the other, you know, many of us have a side hustle of sorts. And that's where we learn. We learn without taking the big risks of immersing all out in one business. We learn these skills of business in these side hustles. So encourage your younger siblings and encourage your friends also, to do these experiments. So, you know, we have to also just, this is an interesting study that I wanted to tell you about. So, understanding the vocabulary and the principles of entrepreneurship is crucial to navigate the business world. So even though you might come from a different discipline, you've got to learn the language of business. And just like learning a new language, you need to understand the vocabulary of this business world, and you need to communicate effectively in that sense. So there was a recent study at UCT that showed that humanities students could often not identify themselves with the term entrepreneur, even if they are operating successful ventures. And entrepreneurship courses or interventions often miss these students because they don't relate to that term. They miss the opportunities. In that sense, you know, we need to simplify the entrepreneurship process in terms of vocabulary. So we need to look at some terminology. There's this word search. And we need to, in the entrepreneurship process, there's that first step where we search for a problem or a need in society. We search for people or institutions that would pay for a solution. We need to search, we need to validate if the product or the solution is possible in a specific context that we're talking about. We've got to validate if the product or the solution can be offered in the market at a decent profit. We've got to search for resources to start a business. We've got to build the operations to offer the product or the service. We've got to operate the business efficiently and reliably. We've got to search for the resources to grow or scale. And we've got to grow the business by expanding. some of the steps that we need to take, and listen to the vocabulary, listen to the words: search, validate, build, operate, grow. So your university education has probably prepared you for searching and validation already, regardless of what you studied. We call it experimentation. Right. That means that most of you here today can successfully navigate those first steps of building a business, just by realizing that you can recast or reuse or reposition the skills that you already have. However, the build and the operate and the grow phases of a business require specific skills. And these skills might be something you still want to work on. This is where universities can play a really big role, and the entities within universities that support entrepreneurship and startups. So building a business requires some basic business skills, such as, and I so loved it, who was the gentleman who spoke about the importance of sales? Yes! Why do we look down on salespeople? My goodness, sales is just such a critical skill, and nobody teaches you sales skills in a university because we think it's kind of a lower level skill. No, what I do for a living is sales. I sell my program, you know, the work that we do. What you do, you are forever busy with sales also in. Think of your Instagram profiles. You don't even realize it perhaps, but you're selling yourself. Think of your LinkedIn profile. You're selling your professional self, I'm hoping, right? So we are forever selling. And why not embrace the importance and equip ourselves for sales, even as university students and graduates, right? So that is such an important thing. So, when we look also, then we also think other skills we need to think about. Of course, marketing and, very important, financial skills, product development, production, innovation, and then the characteristics, perseverance, flexibility, and then skills like risk management. There's a lot of things we need to learn to be able to grow our businesses. So operating a business is really the preserve of business management theory. The key issues here are traction and efficiency, consistency and profitability. Growing or scaling a business is often associated with investment considerations, such as growth capital, of course. Not something you're worrying straight at the start of your business. Now, given all of these things, we've listened to our earlier speakers, and we've listened to the role, the supporting role that partner entities can play. We've heard colleagues speak about the importance of networking, and there I want to say, and relationships, there I want to say networking, we have to be very specific. Not all networking is equal. Someone said, why are you networking? What do you want to achieve out of that networking? Who are you networking with? You know, what does networking even mean for what you need to achieve? So networking sounds so easy. I always laugh at that. It's like, oh, you've got a network. It's really difficult, you know? You might not believe it, but you know, when it gets to a conference or an academic conference or a gathering like that, I'm that person standing in the corner over there. Because I really don't have the courage sometimes to go and approach someone and start that conversation. Who of you can relate to that? Yeah. Now they say go and network like it's an easy thing. So maybe rather have a strategy for networking before you go to a networking event and have a nice targeted approach. If you know who's going to be at the event and if you know what you want to achieve through that networking, you've got a good opportunity there, right? So our colleagues here from entities like SEFA and SEDA and Brand SA and so on, you know, we have a platform existing across the universities, the public universities. It's called EDI. And this is the platform for entrepreneurship development in terms of supporting the development of student entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship in the curriculum through teaching and learning and through research, and creating the environment within which you as entrepreneurs can grow and can flourish in your business, can thrive in your business, to advocate for that and to work with the universities to try and create these environments. In the process, we run a whole bunch of activities, and we've got different structures within which young entrepreneurs like yourself can participate. Because today you are amongst entrepreneurs, people like yourself. But there are many opportunities, I'm sure, where you as an entrepreneur feel alone. Where it's a very lonely journey, especially late at night. You're doing this all by yourself. Sometimes it's good to be able to plug in with other people who understand your path and who can even be peer supporters of your business. So we have a national a network of national communities of practice across the 26 public universities. And these entities are there advocating for the changes in universities to better support entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. Similarly, there is a thing called SEDA membership. So if you look at the website, and I don't have a presentation slide up anywhere now, so you've just got to go and look for www and another w.edhe.coza.co.za. That's the website. There's a place for membership. It's free. If you're a student from a public university, go and join that membership and see, or join that membership. That we'll not do anything. We won't spam you or anything, but we will share opportunities with you. You can also look at the social media presence. We are across all the platforms called Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education. What a long name, eh? Wow. And then we could have had a brand like Yay. Sure. Imagine that. Now, and then you will see, you'll see some of what the activities and the opportunities are there. There's specifically one thing that you might want to join. Every year, we have a Studentpreneurs in Durban. It changes from one university to the next through the years. This year, if you can get someone to help you pay the flight, the airfare, it's at the university, co-hosted with University of the Western Cape. It's a 2-day event for existing student entrepreneurs, with other entrepreneurs from this country, but our other colleagues also. But there's a massive market on our continent. Right. How do we as student entrepreneurs access the markets across the borders of our country? How do we build business relationships with other young entrepreneurs elsewhere on the continent? And how do we think about have a multinational presence? We heard two of the colleagues this morning spoke about multinational footprint, you know? So if that is what it takes to scale your business, then absolutely be open to these things. And with something like the Africa Continental Free Trade Area now in place, we can do business across the borders without all the red tape. So I would like to invite you to join forces with us, to come and find your tribe, come and connect with other people like yourself. More importantly, participate in the InterVarsity. If you've got a startup or a small business, it doesn't even have to be registered yet. If you've got an existing business and you want to be recognized, there are competitions with much bigger prize money, but you want to be recognized as a student entrepreneur and have your business recognized also by your university to get better support. Think about it's called the SEDA Entrepreneurship Intervarsity. This is the 5th year we're running that competition, and that competition is aimed at identifying the top students and the student entrepreneurs and the top student businesses in universities. And with that, we then work with the university leaders to say, look at this. Here's the pipeline. Here's the pipeline of students in your university. Here's the talent. And you can be one of those. Yes, you know, the overall prize is something like 120,000. It's not massive prize money, but it's more about the doors that it opens for you. This kind of recognition. So plug in, connect, and let's see how we can help you also to grow your business and how we can help advocate for better support from your university. Don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. We can do it together. You're doing it. I salute you, and I wish you the very best in your businesses. Chair, I see we've got a hand up there in front. Must I wait a moment? There's a hand there at the back. I hope it's a good hand, not a bad hand.
Okay, we're only gonna take one hand because we are behind on schedule.
We've got two.
Can I bully you guys, please?
Maybe we just have the two hands. Just that there are two hands. They're both very keen.
Okay, I'll take your hand and I'll take your hand.
Oh, there's three hands.
Yours, yeah. Okay, you can ask away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kaban Katide, one of the top 3 Mr. South Africa finalists from 2022.
Testing, 1, 2. All right, I'll start again. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kaban Katide, one of the top 3 Mr. South Africa finalists from 2022. So I've been and founder of a scooter touring company called Vela Sui. So we basically curate scooter ride experiences in different cities, be it Pretoria, be it wherever the case may be. So think of the Uber equivalent, but now with a twist, with scooters. Nonetheless, so my question is, so I've been listening quite intently to your presentation and everything, but one thing that stands out for me, so I wasn't necessarily a part of Wits University or UP or anything like that. So now, am I exempt as an entrepreneur from gaining access to all the opportunities that you host as an organization? Because naturally, not everyone here has had that, has been a student in, in varsity in that formal sense. But yeah, that's my question.
So can we speak it over and say Mr. South Africa? Possibly Mr. South Africa. Now this is wonderful. This I did not expect that here today. Yes. So certainly. So what this is. So this EDI program is publicly funded through the Department of Higher Education and Training. So it's taxpayer money. It's not a big budget. We run a really efficient operation on a very lean budget. So we are not a funding entity. That's why we're so glad that there are entities like NYDA and SEFA who are the funding entities. But the benefit obviously firstly goes to the students that need to be served by the Department of Higher Education and Training. So in our case, our focus is, our audience is specifically university students, although we include, so all of these opportunities, we gladly open to students from TVET as well. But where we have opportunities and it's someone that's keen to participate, we might ask you a small fee. Say, come and do this with us, but, seeing that, this is kind of public funding, maybe we would charge a private individual a small fee. So in that sense, I think it's more about really elevating the collective. If we get to just elevate the level of entrepreneurs and startups in this country, then we all benefit. So it's really in all of our interest to include as many people as possible in opportunities such as these. And we wish you well in the competition. You must let us know where we must vote. Right.
Please keep it short and succinct.
Thank you. My name is Khonzi Matladi. I am a youth mentor, facilitator, and I'm passionate about business entrepreneurship. you name it, I'm there. I'm currently a volunteer at a youth development organization called Empower Vate, and I wanted to find out in the ecosystem how NPOs can plug in, because we do programs in primary and high school level for the youth, children, advocating for them to be active citizens. And we use a toolkit for them to be able to guide them to solve any challenges they have in school and society. And in that process, we're actually doing social entrepreneurship. But you find that they do these programs, and then after high school, they're left somewhere, in limbo, and we cannot trace where is it that they go. So we need partnership, and well, you answered the one part, you don't fund. So, but anybody who can partner with us, we do need funding, we need help. We need to start these things at a foundational level. And we do our program nationally, so it's the whole country. So, well, you answered that, but in the ecosystem, how can we plug ourselves in and connect so that there's just a continuation in what we do? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, okay, may I ask you, just in the interest of commercial break, please give us the name of your organization so that we can support if we can, please. Where's the mic going? Is the mic going away? So sorry, please. Can we just have a mic again so that we can just know the name of that entity so that we can support?
It's called Empower Vate. It's on LinkedIn. It's Empower Vate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
anybody can come to me and we'll engage.
There we go. Thank you. So such an important aspect that if we talk about the development of an entrepreneurial mindset, of course, if it's the sooner it starts, the better. If these things start in preschool or in primary school, that's ideal. But it's not always the case. Sometimes we only hear about entrepreneurship when you're like 22. Now what? Is it too late? No, it's never too late. It's never too late. You are a clever, intelligent person. You can do this. So really, let's support initiatives that invest in children. But then NPOs, any partner entities, these communities of practice that I mentioned to you, are now open to industry and to other public and private sector entities who align with the objectives. So if there is a community of practice for the development of student entrepreneurship, in our case, then if it's in your interest, then you can join that community of practice, and you will then be liaising with people in the universities who are focused on the development of student entrepreneurship and so on. So absolutely, on the same website, you will see that there's also applications.
Now the hands pop up. Now all these hands. Hi.
I'll take the advantage by saying I'm in marketing, so this is kind of my thing. But first and foremost, most of the time when we're networking, we're looking for customers and partners. So my pickup line is, we create customers for clients. Do you know your customers?
Sorry, please repeat that. Please repeat that.
We create customers for our clients. Do you know your customers?
Oh, yes, I'm coming.
Sure.
Hi. Okay. The pickup line is very short. It's gonna be 2, I think, letters. Okay. Before I come to the pickup line, I had the statement, and I asked, how true is this statement? The best time to raise funds is when you don't need them. And the pickup line is no. Because that means you are irresponsible.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the pickup line was no from the statement that says, how true is it that the best time to raise funds is when you don't need them?
Thank you. Okay, just gonna give one more hand in front, please. Okay.
For me, when I network, I try to replace this question of what do you do for a living with how do you spend most of your time?
Okay.
I just feel like when you ask someone, Uti, what do you do for a living? It becomes like you're just interested in what they're doing and you're not interested in them. So I try to ask, how do you spend most of your time? And in that way, they're able